are powers on earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the Pierre Sebak podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is Pierre Sebak, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now today's video is a continuation of the first video which I made last week called Why the Elohim Are Non-Human. And if you haven't seen that video, then I recommend that you watch that video first of all before watching this video, because that will certainly give you the context into why I'm arguing that the Elohim are non-human. Now it's a very controversial argument, and both theologians and also people within the alternative community will say that I am wrong in terms of arguing that the Elohim are the same as the Seraphim. And again, I've had these conversations with various different researchers in the field of ufology, and basically everyone states the same thing. The Elohim are a human race, and the proposition for this, or the argument for this, is based upon the text of Genesis. God made man in his own image. Now the term God here is the Elohim. So a lot of people say, well, you know, that's very, very clear who and what the Elohim are. Well, I've argued, and I'm just going to sum up the first video, why the Elohim are not human. But essentially, I argued that the Elohim, to understand who and what the Elohim are, we need to look at who the ha-elohim are. Now the ha-elohim are the sons of the gods, and the ha-elohim are famous because they procreated with the daughters of Adam, which are found within Genesis chapter 6. So the ha-elohim, according to rabbinical scholars, are fallen angels, but importantly the ha-elohim are referred to in the book of Enoch as the Watchers, specifically the Erin. The Watchers are the Shining Ones. Now, when we want to understand who the Erin are, we need to look to the Testament of Amram, because in the Testament of Amram, he describes that the Erin, the Watchers, are the Shining Ones, that they have a face like a viper, that they have the visage of a viper. So we know, therefore, that the Erin, which are the Watchers or the Shining Ones, are one and the same as the Seraphim. And again, this would make sense, because in the Hebrew, Sopheth, a watcher, is related to Seraph, which is a seraph, and Serapha, which is fire. And again, the Seraphim are translated as the jinn, and the jinn are the same as the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirit, because the terminology jinn can be rendered as a spirit. It can be interpreted to mean a spirit, but the etymology of jinn is from the old Semitic root jen, a serpent, Arabic jana, which is to hide or to conceal. So I'm going to now look at this text in Genesis about the creation of mankind, in which it is stated that man is made in the image of God. And I'm going to try and disassemble this and deconstruct why the Elohim are actually seraphim in light of this passage. So in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, the biblical writer writes, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he, male and female created he them." Now, apparently straightforward, the biblical text states that the Elohim created man in his own image, and on the surface it appears that mankind assumes the same form as the Elohim, who, by implication, is human-like. Now, as I've already shown in my first video, the Elohim can be construed to be the same as the Seraphim. So therefore, if we're talking about here in terms of the Elohim, here we're really dealing with the Seraphim, and as I said before, this is because the Elohim, specifically the Bene Elohim, the sons of the gods, are the same as the Erin, the watchers or the shining ones, who are referred to as the vipers. The vipers can be understood in this context to be a jinn or a seraphim. Again, in the Greek, this would be translated as drakon. And the implication is that the gods are one and the same with the seraphim. So Sophia for watch is related to Seraph for fire, and Seraph, which is a serpent. Again, the gods in the Greek, Theos, God, is related to Theoros, a watcher, and Phos, which is light. In the Hebrew and Aramaic, Erin, the watchers or the shining one, is same or is interchangeable with the Elohim. They're one and the same thing. So, in light of this knowledge then, the symbolism referring to Genesis chapter 1, so God made man in his own image, the symbolism is a little bit more complex, and we have to really go back to the ancient etymologies. So, for example, in the Bible, the word used to denote the word image is Selem. So we're going to have a look at what it means when it refers in the Bible to God made man in his own image. So if we go back to the ancient etymologies, Selem means is translated in the English as an image, but the term Selem is used in the Aramaic for an idol. So the literal translation is not an image. I mean, yes, at one respect you could say it's a graven image, but here we're dealing with an idol. So the suggestion is that mankind is literally constructed. Figuratively, we can say that he is genetically engineered. He is made or he is constructed. And again, this fits in with the idea of the angels and the Elohim as being builders, and the symbolism of the builder, which is interchangeable with the angel. So, moreover, the Semitic word Selem, an idol, is also, interestingly, it's a derivative of sel, which is a shade or a shadow. And thus the implication is that man is made as a pale replica of the Elohim, a shadow of something greater than himself. And again, this idea of shadow has this connotation of the jinn. Again, Sauda Black is related to Shedim, which is a goblin, ghost or ghoul. And indeed, El Shaddai, Almighty God, is a derivation from Shedim or Shed, which are the goblin, ghost or ghoul. So again, it's working on a number of different word plays. Now, if we understand, therefore, that the Elohim are the watchers or the shining ones, as I demonstrated in the earlier video, particularly when I was looking at the correspondence between the etymologies of Erin, the watchers or the shining ones, and the Elohim, we will know that that the Elohim really can be construed to be a seraphim, which is a flaming one. Okay, so in the context of this biblical passage, the seraphim cast light upon man's shadow. So in other words, it's a poetic metaphor. When God made man in his own image, he's creating an idol, and this idol is a shadow or a pale imitation or reflection of God. But God in this respect is viewed as a seraphim, as a shining one, who casts a shadow which is man. So thus, in conclusion, the idol, or one who's genetically engineered, is recreated by the seraphim. A majestic creature, the shining one casts its shadow over the image or semblance of man, a being who is recreated as a pale imitation or shadow of the seraphim. And I'm going to quote here the Quran, Surah Al-Najm, the star. Again, Najm here is the symbol of Sirius. So therefore, the seraphim, Seraph of fire, the jinn are said to be born from fire, is an esoteric signifier of Sirius. In the Arabic, Sira, Sirius, is from the etymology of Sara, which is a spark. So the Sirius is the sparkling one, in which the seraphim, Seraph of fire, or the jinn, are conceived. So, in other words, astrologically, the jinn are conceived from Sirius. It's a type of symbolism. So, in Surah Al-Najm, the star, it states, he himself created the two sexes, male and female, from an ejected drop of sperm, that he will undertake the second creation, that it is he who gives wealth and possessions, that he is the Lord of Sirius. So again, the Lord of Sirius has a connotation that he is the Lord over the seraphim. He is the Lord over the high spirits, the ru'akh Elohim. The terminology ru'akh Elohim is interchangeable with the jinn. The etymology of jinn is from the Old Semitic root Jinn, a serpent, Arabic Jana, to hide or to conceal. So we can conclude here and say that Adam is created by the Elohim from sperm and is planted on the earth. Furthermore, we can say that mankind is created in the shadow of the Elohim, the shining ones, who can be understood to be the Seraphim. Taking the scriptures at face value, it can be said that humans therefore do not look like the Elohim, who it can be said are a humanoid species that are reptilian. Going back to the Bible, the biblical scholars knew full well that the Elohim were the same as the Seraphim and encoded the idea cleverly into the English translation of Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. So again, there are some linguistic clues within the English translation as to what is really meant by who or what the Elohim are. So just so we're clear, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he, him, male and female, created he, them. So I want to now look at who or what is the image of God, because clearly this is a codified discourse. Now, we can say that the biblical scholars who wrote the English Bible, that they essentially, when they were translating the Old Testament, which was written in Hebrew and Aramaic, primarily they were using the Septuagint as their primary source, which is the Greek Old Testament. So they were really looking at the Greek translations of the Old Testament, and they were translating Greek words into English. So in terms of the Elohim, the phrase God created man in his own image, it's drawing an inference upon the Greek word akon, an image, a word play on the etymology of archon, a ruler or angel. So therefore the term archon is from the Babylonian root akan, a seraph. So in other words, the archons are a type of seraphim, because archon, a ruler or angel, is related to akan, which is a seraph. And this seraph has this appearance, which we said akon, an image. As we said before, seraph is related to shofar, an appearance in the Egyptian Arabic. Again, this idea that they are a type of apparition, that they are a type of high spirit, a ru'akh, which can be understood to be a jinn or jen, a serpent. So the term archon is from the Babylonian root akan, a seraph, and it's used to specify a chief angel, an archangel. In this respect would be viewed as a type of seraphim. So in doublespeak, the archon is a seraphim, and God's image, specifically the Elohim, can be likened to an archon or a seraph, from which the image of man, originally an idol, is a shadow or a pale resemblance of the Elohim. In this respect, the Elohim is construed as a shining angel, otherwise a watcher, a serpent, or a flaming one. So if we were reading the English translation of the Bible, chapter 1 verse 27, we could add, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, remember, image of God is a word play on the Greek word akon. Akon is an archon, so again, archon is a ruler or an angel, but is related to akan, which is a seraph, which is a type of seraphim. Remember, Yahweh Sabaoth is the Lord of the seraphic host. Sabaoth host, Saba, army, is related to Sefer, which is a viper. This is the seraphic host. Again, Yahweh is viewed as from the etymology of Yara, which is to see. Again, Theos, God, Theoros, a watcher. So all these word plays are suggesting that the watchers are one and the same as the gods, who are the Elohim. So the etymology of the Elohim is the same as Erin, which is a watcher or a shining one. So in summary, we can say that God created man in his own image. And here it's really referring to here, man is a pale reflection of the seraphim. The seraphim are the shining ones. Man is this shadow. He has been created. And again, within symbolism also, we can say that alchemy, the idea of welding together metals, is used as a metaphor of grafting together different bloodlines, bloodlines from humans and non-human angels, or the watchers. And this again is a very important symbol within biblical discourse, this idea of a grafting together of a bloodline. At one level you can use metal as a metaphor of the grafting together of bloodlines. Another metaphor is the grafting together of a plant. So therefore the grafting together of a human and angel lineage could be represented with a family tree. The tree is a symbol of the watchers, and again it goes back into the scaphological tradition. Scaph is a vessel, coming from the etymology of scapto, which is to dig out or to scoop out. This is a hollow vessel. So again, the tree can be used as a signifier of a boat, which is a carrier of an angel. Okay, the symbolism of why the Elohim are not human is quite complicated. I do recommend that in order to make sense of this video that you look at my first video, why the Elohim are not human, go back to that, look and study the etymologies given in that video, then come to this video with that context and that understanding of why the Elohim are one and the same as the Erin, the Watchers or the Shining Ones, who can be viewed as Sopheth, a Watcher, or a Seraph or Seraph of Fire. Again, they are from Sirius, as what it says in the Quran, Al-Najm. He is the Lord of Sirius. Okay, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Again, please pass my videos around and please discuss and talk about my videos. Please give me a thumbs up. It's great to be back online again. This is Pierre Sabak. Let's try and make this a better world. Thank you very much.